Toni Bryant is coming on a visit to Chapel Hill on Labor Day, and there's no more perfect time to do so. In fact, bring us all the finest basketball players in the land to bear witness to Bill Belichick's first game.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and you're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you for making us your first listen or watch to get your Wednesday going the right way. Special shout out to all you everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord family, and of course, our great Locked On Tar Heels insiders as well. Coming up on the show today, Toni Bryant, a basketball player in the class of 2026, is visiting Carolina on a very important day. We'll lay that out. Also, could Toni Bryant be the next Caleb Wilson 2.0 just a year after Wilson comes? And the Diamond Heels. I complained and whined and moaned about their spot yesterday, but having looked more at their draw, it might not be so bad after all. We'll unpack all of that coming up today, but let's start with Toni Bryant. We're going to look at his game in the second segment, so stay tuned for that. But I want to first talk about his visit and the timing of it and the bigger picture of that. Joe Tipton reported last week that Toni Bryant has scheduled his official visit to Carolina for September 1st. That was announced on Sunday evening. Just in the afterglow, I might add, of the Women's Lacrosse National Championship and the Men's Baseball ACC Tournament Championship. Let's go. Thank you very much. So Toni Bryant's coming on September 1st, and it just so happens that this year, September 1st, is Labor Day. So that's actually a Monday, and you look at that and you think, well, that's weird. Why wouldn't Toni Bryant come over like a weekend? Well, a lot of times when kids are in school, a long weekend is a great time to come. But why specifically Monday? Do you remember what's happening that day? Oh, in Carolina athletics as a whole. Monday, September 1st, just so happens to be North Carolina hosting TCU to kick off the regular season in football inside Kenan Stadium. You might also call it the first game of the Bill Belichick era. So you know what? Bring as many recruits as you possibly can. Toni Bryant, yes, but anyone else that Coach Hubert Davis and staff want to line up. Why? Because this is going to be one of the biggest spectacles we've ever seen. Local media is going to be there like per usual, but every national media member that can be will be clamoring to be there. It is a standalone football game that the eyes of America will be on. The NFL hasn't started yet, so there's no Monday Night Football. This is it. This is the game. And if you're anybody who's anybody as a basketball recruit should want to be at this game. And if you go to this game, how could you but not want to be a Tar Heel? So, I mean, it's going to be a circus. It's going to be in many ways like Prime in Colorado all over again when Dion went to coach the Buffs. Do you remember the phenomenon of that? It was wild. Everybody wants to come and see the show, whether they're a football fan, a national media member, a gossip columnist, whatever it is. This game has it all because of Bill Belichick, because of Jordan Hudson, because of Carolina, all of that. And it's a thing. And if it's good, people are going to want to keep tuning in to see the product. Like, man, that's a good football team. If it's bad, people are going to tune in because they want to hate watch and they want to point and laugh and say, see, I told you so. Regardless, they're going to show up and they're going to be there. And that is why you bring in as many recruits as you possibly can to say, come be part of what is the biggest spectacle of this first week of games. And so if I'm Toni Bryant, I'm like, yeah, dude, this is going to be crazy. I'm going to be part of this. I might meet Bill Belichick. I'm going to hang out with the team, and it's going to be a whole thing. And so, look, it's always been important to get recruits to come and visit during a home football game weekend. Like, I just put a ton of stock into that because it gives you a real honest to goodness feel of what a fall weekend is like on campus. You get to be a part of the game and the festivities, hang out with the basketball team, do the whole deal. And now more so than ever, because of the Bill Belichick of it all, Carolina has gone out and gotten him. Carolina, as an athletic department, is working to really build football to the level that it hopefully matches the renown of men's basketball. To that point, chiefly because of Bill Belichick. Carolina just announced that football season tickets are sold out. Can't get them. Done. Gone. A big part of growing football to match basketball is matching the two of them together, doing things that overlap. And so for basketball, coming to be part of football events. For Bill Belichick, remember he out on center court introducing Bryce Baker at one of the basketball games. And I think a lot of people, myself included, dude, with what I'm about to say, fear that with all the investment in football, it is causing basketball to take a back seat. We maybe see that in recruiting and dollars. It's going to be interesting to see once the House settlement comes through. Like, where will the money go? Who's going to get it? How are they going to break that down? But to hear Bubba Cunningham talk about it, the ultimate goal is not that we're abandoning basketball or putting basketball second seat, but using Carolina's men's basketball cachet to bring football up to that level. You do that and you utilize Bill Belichick's name, and maybe you're in business there, especially in a day and age when those things matter, when the ACC is struggling a bit, and you got to find ways to continue to get eyeballs and dollars coming to Chapel Hill. And so use Carolina basketball and its cachet to bring football up. But on the other side of that coin right now, while things are hot with football and the Belichick of it all, basketball can build on football's momentum, and then they can just hopefully keep one-upping each other and growing this thing. That's the ultimate goal. Is it going to matter? Is the football team going to be good? Are people going to start to tune in? I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like, if I do a basketball lead on an episode of Locked On Tar Heels versus a football lead, it is insane the drop-off that there is with a football-centric show, or at least football-first show. And, for me, I guess I should be honest, I care more about basketball too. But, you just figure through the Drake May years, or now that Bill Belichick's around, that there would be a bigger football audience, and it's just not there yet. So is that going to happen? Maybe if the product on the field is consistently good. All of this to say, Toni Bryant coming on Labor Day is a just massive success, and it shouldn't stop there. If Hubert Davis and the staff are thinking, which I'm sure they are, they need to get more guys here. Okay, so that's some context surrounding Toni Bryant's visit and just how smart it is for Carolina to have him there that weekend. But one thing we've never done is gone in on Toni Bryant, the player. Who is he? What would he bring to Chapel Hill if Coach Davis is able to entice him to come be a Tar Heel? We'll talk about that in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. How about that triple-double for Halliburton last night? Good grief. So whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy for you to stay in the game. You can do it before tip-off. If you miss that, you can do it in real time as the game's going on. They've got player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. And with all of that, fans just like you have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. We're about to talk some Diamond Heels in a minute. College World Series winner odds are in for the winner of the College World Series. Arkansas leads the way at plus 470, followed by LSU at plus 600, then Vandy plus 650, and then Carolina and Texas at plus 1,000. Are you new to FanDuel? Well, now's the perfect time to sign up. Head on over to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. And if that wins, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. So go ahead and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. let's actually talk now about Toni Bryant and his basketball game and get to know him and his bio a little bit. It's funny, Carolina offered him back on February 18th. I'd actually intended to do kind of what we're about to do right now back in the spring and even before Carolina offered, because there was momentum heating up that Carolina really liked Toni Bryant. And so really glad they've offered, really glad he's scheduling a visit, because I'll just go ahead, cards on the table. I think he could be a great power forward for Carolina, and very much in the similar mold to Caleb Wilson. So that's the biggest kind of take right off the top is, if I'm Hubert Davis, my selling point, my pitch to Toni Bryant is, hey, Toni, you see that guy, Caleb Wilson? You know him. You've played against him. Watch what he does for us this year. And then remember that could be you the next year after, because Caleb's going to be off to the NBA. Why don't you come be next in line to do that, and then you can head off to the NBA? Oh, that's what you see in me? Cool. All in, right? It just makes a ton of sense. Okay. When it comes to Carolina recruiting, it's funny. There is very much a narrative, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I guess the way I said that, it made it feel like I was like, there's a narrative, but I disagree with it. I don't actually. There's been a frustration amongst the Carolina fan base that the Tar Heels haven't gone after enough bigs in high school recruiting, that so much of it has been guard-based, and the Tar Heels need to pursue more big guys. Now, they did some of that in the past cycle, the one that's coming in, and outside of Caleb Wilson, didn't really land it. Didn't get Eric Ryba, didn't get Cam Boozer or any of these other bigger guys. And so, you bring in Caleb Wilson, and that's great as a 4, but Carolina doesn't have a 5. So Carolina, again, there's a frustration that the Tar Heels maybe haven't gone after enough bigs. Well, Toni Bryant is one of those. He's more of a power forward, a 4, but he can play a small ball 5, sure. But he is a great 4. That is for certain. And when you think about, here's another narrative that's become a thing in the Hubert Davis tenure. Which Hubert Davis teams thrive the best? Hubert Davis teams that have a power forward, a 4, who can stretch the floor, who can run, who can do a little bit of everything. You think of somebody like a Brady Manick. Carolina went to the national championship that year. You think about Harrison Ingram. Carolina was a 1 seed that year. It's a 4 who can step out and knock down the 3 and do things on both ends of the court, a little bit of a do-it-all. And that is exactly what Toni Bryant is. I've watched a good bit of video on him. One of my favorites that I watched was actually a matchup between Toni Bryant's team and Caleb Wilson's Holy Innocents Episcopal School team at Holiday Hoops Giving last year. You should go watch these. I think there was in addition to finding the full game, I think I found like an 8-minute highlight video as well. You could go check that out. But I mean, it's really crazy to see these guys go after each other and see okay, one of these guys is a Tar Heel now, and one could be, and the one that could be could just follow the other. It just makes so much sense to me. So these guys in this game, they were jumping together. It was the jump ball between Caleb Wilson and Toni Bryant. They both had some crazy blocks in this game. And I was really intrigued to see moments where they would be guarding each other. Does Toni Bryant hold up to Caleb Wilson? Because that matters. They gave and take. Both of them had some positive moments. Both of them had some moments where the other got the best of them. Cool. That's what I want to see, because we know Caleb can do it. There was a moment where Caleb just straight up stripped the ball from Toni in the high post. But then you had other moments, like in the fourth quarter, Toni scoring over Caleb down in the post, and then Caleb returning the favor a couple minutes later. There was another sequence. Caleb Wilson tried this ferocious dunk from in the middle of the lane over Toni. He was not having it. No dice. Caleb saved it. And then Toni gets back-to-back blocks, the second of which was really impressive. And then Toni got a block on Caleb in the final couple minutes of this game. And so all of this to say, man, when seeing these guys go tete-a-tete, mano-a-mano, or what, all those phrases, Toni Bryant holds up to Caleb Wilson, and that is a great measuring stick, right? Yes, absolutely, that's what we want to see. So again, All you got to do if you're Hubert Davis is say, hey, remember Caleb Wilson, who you played against last year? That's your guy. Watch him, because that's you the very next year. A couple things about Toni Bryant's game that I really love, and all of it basically is encompassed by his athleticism. Just watching the game, whether in person or on film, you know how sometimes guys will just stand out and it's like, you don't have to ask like, hey, who are we watching? Who's the 5-star here? No. With Toni, it just jumps off the page at you, his athleticism. One article I had read about him, like an evaluation, described him as a pogo stick. I loved that descriptor because it makes sense, man. His second jump is very, very quick. He can get up. He can block shots on one end. He'll dunk on you on the other, and his dunks are ferocious, man. You do not want to get in the way. Great offensive rebounding and tip dunks. Really, really good stuff there. And so similar to Caleb Wilson, from the best of everything I can tell so far about Toni Bryant, just like Caleb, he can change the game on both ends of the floor, and that's an encouraging thing. And again, as we said, importantly, can stretch the defense from outside the arc or even just a deep 2, whatever it is. That is something you need in your 4. So, man, I would take me some Toni Bryant. All right, rankings, little bio blast here. At 247, he's ranked 10th, ESPN 12th, On 3 12th, and Rivals 16th. As a reminder, On 3 and Rivals are going to be joining forces soon. Again, as we've already said, he's a power forward, a 4. His measurements at 247 are 6'9", 215, so some good size. We'd like to see him get bigger and bulk up, but the same is true of Caleb as well. He has played for North Tampa Christian, although this year he's transferring to Zephyr Hills Christian Academy, which is in like the northeast suburbs of Tampa, so not going all that far for his senior year. He's a 5-star. Again, Carolina offered him back on February 18th. Has a whole slew of offers from all sorts of schools. Interestingly, no Duke or Kentucky yet, but Kansas is in that mix. Clemson, Creighton, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Illinois, Indiana, K-State, Louisville, Michigan, Mizzou, on and on and on and on. A&M, Ole Miss, whatever. Everybody wants it. Carolina has to prioritize it. From some of the research and studying I've done, he has already taken visits to Cal, to Kansas, and Mizzou. And so Cal, all due respect, Cal doesn't bother me. Mizzou doesn't bother me, although Dennis Gates is a great recruiter up there. But Kansas, man, it's anytime you see another blue blood, it's like, all right, I'm glad other blue bloods won it, but we got to go steal him away. In terms of stats, last year at North Tampa Christian, Toni Bryant, 21 points a game, 11.8 rebounds, 6.5 blocks, 2 assists, and 1.5 steals. He did that on 66% shooting from the field and 43% from 3. Again, just backing all of that up, that data that he can shoot. It's right there, man. And it looks good and it looks repeatable from what I've seen of his shot. So looking at this class of 26, you got a couple power forwards that I really like both. Honestly, Toni Bryant is one and the other is Mika Murinen. Boy, I've been very high on Murinen, but the more I see of Bryant, the more I like him. I don't, in this day and age, you don't go get 2 power forwards from the high school ranks. So I would be over the moon if Carolina landed either one of these guys. Either one of them. Love them both. They do some different things, but man, it's good. And then we know Carolina probably is really working hard to prioritize Cole Clora, small forward from, kind of in and around close. Same is true of Caleb Holt, the shooting guard. And so both of those guys seem like they will be priorities for Carolina's coaching staff. Would love to see them suit up in the fall of 2026. Well, let's turn our attention to baseball. Now, the Diamond Heels may not have gotten the right seed selection committee, but thankfully enough, the selection committee did us a solid and did give the Tar Heels what I think is a great path to try to get to Omaha. We'll unpack that in just a second. On yesterday's show, I got pretty upset with the seeding for North Carolina in the baseball tournament. But having slept on it, I'm actually not quite as upset as I was. Why? Because I don't think the draw is all that terribly bad. And we'll take it and we'll run. But look, again, regardless of what team's in the other dugout, whatever team's in your bracket, whatever it is, You just got to go out and play. You got to go out and win. I really appreciated these thoughts from Connor Schoaf, who is one of our great Locked on Tar Heels insiders. If you want to be one of those insiders, get perks like priority for mailbag episodes like we're going to have next week. Come be an insider. Links in the show notes. Connor says, quote, "We absolutely got screwed out of a top 4 seed," meaning being one of the top 4 national seeds. And SEC bias is ridiculous. Yeah, amen to that, Connor. But I think the committee tried to make up for it by giving us a pretty great draw. Having Oklahoma as the SEC team is probably the best draw we could have got. And we also have a potential Big Ten team as a super, meaning Oregon. So in my opinion, the committee is trying to make up for the bullcrap SEC bias, end quote. I appreciate Connor's thoughts and ideas there. Look, the selection committee doesn't like chart those things out, obviously. But man, I appreciate what they did chart out all the same. And I'm encouraged by it the more I look at it. To that point, I was like, all right, Carolina did not get that 3rd or 4th overall seed like we thought they should. They got the 5th. But what do the odds say about it? I've already given you the overall College World Series championship odds with Arkansas as the 3 seed, favored at plus 470. Then LSU 600, Vandy 650, and then Carolina and Texas tied at plus 1,000. Interesting that if you wanted to go find Auburn's odds, who is the number 4 overall seed, you got to scroll a little bit further down here to find them. And there we go, Auburn at plus 1,900. So I think that tells you something about what the odds makers know that apparently the selection committee didn't. Similarly, I thought, okay, let me check out the odds for like winning each regional and for winning super regionals and stuff like that. And we'll just see where Carolina lands. Well, I went through and looked at all 16 regionals. Who had the best odds to win their regional? Arkansas leads the way at minus 700, then LSU at minus 390, and then Carolina at minus 350. Third best odds of any of the regional hosts to win their region. And so while Carolina might be the 5 overall seed, the odds makers know what's up, and they have put Carolina with the 3rd best odds to come out of their region. And then I thought, okay, let's look at the super regional odds. Well, FanDuel has those for you too if you want to check it out. And so I looked for all 8 super regionals for not this upcoming weekend, but next. Who's got the best odds there? Where do the Tar Heels fall? Well, Oregon State plus 230 has the best odds in their super regional. Auburn plus 130, the 7th best odds of any super regional to win. Good. 6th, Texas plus 120, UGA 5th at plus 105, LSU 4th minus 120, Vandy 3rd minus 115. Then, you know what? I went backwards on that. Carolina has the 4th best odds in the super regional, with Carolina at minus 110, Vandy at minus 115, LSU minus 120, and Arkansas minus 155. But Carolina is right there with Vandy and LSU for some of the best odds. The odds makers, though, really must love Arkansas's path to Omaha because, good grief, minus 700 in regionals. The next best is LSU at minus 390. And then minus 155 for super regionals, while the next best odds are LSU at minus 120. So Carolina, 3rd best regional odds to advance, 4th best super regional odds to advance. And I got to say, again, it's very close with 2, 3, and 4 there on the super regional odds. In fact, nobody else is like minus odds. Everybody else is plus odds outside of Arkansas, Carolina, Vandy, and LSU. And so when I look at that, it makes me wonder, okay, why is that though? Are the odds about the Carolina side of it because they're playing well, or is it about the opponent side of it because the opponents aren't as strong in Carolina's path? I think the answer to that is yes. It's both things are true. These odds represent how well Carolina is playing. And again, while the selection committee might not be honoring that at the highest level, who cares if you're going to go out and win your baseball games? And the odds makers have put Carolina right up there, man, right at the top, even higher than they are in terms of some of these odds than what they're actually ranked. And so that's what matters, is what can you go out and do. But the other thing is, I do think the opponent factors in too, because when I look at this regional of Carolina, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Holy Cross, I don't see like what was last year LSU. That LSU team, the second I saw them in our regional, I was like, oh, crud. We can beat them, but that's going to be very hard. I don't feel that way about any of these schools. Oklahoma, Nebraska, Holy Cross. And I know you think that, and then immediately it comes back to bite you, right? Carolina almost lost to Long Island before coming back to win the regional last year. But truthfully, I'll say it this way. If the Tar Heels play the way they are capable of playing, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Holy Cross, none of them are beating the Tar Heels. Just plain and simple. Carolina is a better baseball team than any of these other three. Oklahoma, for example, they finished 12th in the SEC. Their RPI is 26th, and overall they were 35-20 and just 14-16 in SEC play. And I know, like, everybody, oh yeah, but the SEC is so tough in conference. Whatever, fine, I don't care. Oklahoma doesn't bother me. So let's go out and let's take care of business quickly. Let's not even get to Monday, which is what you do if you have to, use the final game. Let's win this thing on Sunday. But it starts with Holy Cross coming up Friday at noon, and so we'll keep our eyes on that and continue to get ready for that first matchup of the regional round on Friday afternoon, again at noon. Be ready for that. I'm still be drinking coffee at that point in the day. You guys, thank you so much for joining me on today's show. Great to be together to talk about Toni Bryant and the Diamond Heels as well. Coming up tomorrow, Coach Rob will be with me. Very much looking forward to that. Reminder, the NBA withdrawal deadline to come back to college basketball is tonight, Wednesday at 11:59 Eastern time, right? And so there's nobody really we're looking at for Carolina to come back because we already know that Drake's going to stay in, although I guess, hey, if it's going to happen, it's today. But also guys that might pull out of the draft and that Carolina could pursue. So we'll keep our eyes on that as well. Maybe talk about some of that on Thursday's show. You guys, if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube and audio, make sure you do that right now so you don't miss a second. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, that link is in the show notes, free to join. We'd love to see you there. And if you're not a Locked On Tar Heels insider, why wait, man? That link is in the show notes, a great way to help support the show and get great perks as well. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow. But until then, peace.